Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy. And today I'm excited because last night I learned a TikTok dance. And if you don't know what TikTok is, it's basically just an app where people do dances, people do points of view, and they do all sorts of like funny skits and things of that sort. And all different ages go on there. And I learned Out West, which is a simple dance, but we're not going to talk about that. So it was pretty exciting. If you can't tell, I get excited really easily. I'm rocking my more natural hair today with a little bit of a Farrah Fawcett aesthetic. So yeah, today's topic is on growing up in an abusive home, the scapegoat, the lost child, and the golden child. Growing up with your siblings, it's very natural to have different experiences growing up in the same home. But when it comes to growing up in an abusive home, some or one of your siblings could feel your parent was the best parent in the world, and another one could feel your parent was abusive and horrible. It could be that majority of your siblings feel like your abusive parent took care of you guys, and in their eyes, they couldn't be a better parent. You feel like you're the outcast, and you feel your parent was dysfunctional and toxic. Either way, those polar opposites show that there's something wrong. And no, it doesn't mean that you and your siblings are crazy. It most likely means that you guys grew up in an abusive home. And a lot of times, this happens in narcissistic homes. I just did a video on narcissism, and I'll leave the link below. Growing up with a narcissistic parent, that's your normal. You don't know any different. You don't really have anything to compare it to. You and your siblings may notice that you were all treated differently. You may not have noticed at the time, but you guys were all abused differently, and you most likely were pinned up against each other. The different ways of abuse are broken down in 3 terms: the scapegoat, the golden child, and the lost child. Sorry, I had to get my hair out of my face. Meet the right side of my face. When it comes to the scapegoat, the golden child, and the lost child, these 3 roles can be changed. The roles could be switched at any time. Your sibling could be the golden child, and then they could be the scapegoat. You could be the golden child, and then the scapegoat. It can change whenever. It can change after a couple years. It could change weekly. Some children have only really experienced 1 role, and others may have experienced all 3. It all depends who is pleasing and displeasing the narcissistic parent at the time. The scapegoat, aka the one that gets blamed for everything, gets tormented the most. The scapegoat is the identified patient. If you're the scapegoat, you are the one that your narcissistic parent will come after when things go wrong. Hey, you could have nothing to do with the situation, but your parent will still make you seem some way at fault. Not only that, but as a scapegoat, you are subjected to their emotional and verbal abuse the most. This treatment can cause you to be rebellious and react a lot more than your other siblings. You may be labeled the trouble child or the bad one. You are hurt and angry, and you want to verbalize it. You want to be heard and acknowledged. Or it can cause you to become submissive and quiet to escape further abuse. You could even go in between both coping mechanisms. Sometimes you get fed up and you just want to scream, and other times you become really timid and you just want to be left alone. You may be the butt of all the jokes. You may be the one that gets less than your siblings. You may feel like your needs matter less than everyone else's. The mistreatment could also lead you to resent your siblings. Because of all this mistreatment, you see the abuse the most, and you may disagree with your narcissistic parent the most, which is the ultimate sin to them. You may stand up for the wrongdoings that go on in your family, and you may even feel like you need to fix your broken home. You feel responsible for it. Being the scapegoat opens your eyes more than your other siblings because there's less love bombing and good times, and there's more mistreatment. Because of all of this abuse you endure, you see your narcissistic parent for what they are. You have more of a mind of your own, and you can't be as easily manipulated as your other siblings. You still will feel manipulated, but it may be easier for you to recognize it rather than your other siblings are not recognizing it. This is a threat to your narcissistic parent. Narcissistic parents view their children as extensions of themselves. Little people that they can control and manipulate to be who they want. You are the one your abusive parent can't mold into who they want you to be. When your narcissistic parent is upset, you may notice that they will look for you to yell at you. You are the one that will deal with the most gaslighting, as they want you to question yourself the most and feel crazy for thinking outside of them. The golden child. The golden child, aka the favorite, has big shoes to fill. They were chosen as the narcissistic's doll, the one they want to betray them the most. Golden children are picked to conform to the narcissist's demands. And if you don't, you'll be criticized, ridiculed, and punished. The difference between golden child and scapegoat is the scapegoat is the one that's at fault. They're the problem. The golden child is the one that needs to live up to what the narcissist wants. So it's different abuse trying to form different feelings. As a golden child, you will feel like you need to be perfect. When you do follow all of your abuser's demands, that behavior is then rewarded with a lot of love bombing. So chemically, what happens is if you act a certain way, you will get love, and a lot of serotonin and dopamine will be released, so you become addicted to that. You are then conditioned and forced to follow what your parent wants. Especially when you're a vulnerable kid, you'll do anything for your parents' love. Because of the extremes in punishment and rewards, it will cause you to conform into exactly what your narcissist wants. You will become who they want to escape the abuse. One of the ways narcissists get their supply is by having the golden child need them and rely on them. You will feel pampered, but with a price. You have to be who the narcissistic parent wants you to be. You are taught that being independent is bad, that's negative. And you are taught that being dependent is good, that's something you need to do. As the golden child, you may be told who to be, what to wear, bought everything, pampered when you meet your narcissist's demands, and disciplined when you don't. You're being manipulated into thinking that abuse is love. Because of this, it is much harder to see the narcissistic parent for what they are. That's why the golden child may see the narcissistic parent as the best in the world, because they are manipulated to have that mentality. As the golden child, you lose your ability to think for yourself, and you become very similar to your narcissistic parent. The golden child is the most likely to follow in their narcissistic parents' footsteps and become a narcissist themselves. The lost child. The lost child, aka the invisible one, is the one that tries to stay quiet. They try to stay in the background. In some bigger families with narcissistic parents, the parent is so busy tormenting the other siblings, one or two may be left on their own. This can even happen in families of 3. As a lost child, you will notice yourself having little to no guidance. You just kind of float in the background. Your abusive parent most likely pays little attention to you. You try to stay out of the way as much as possible. You basically are raising yourself at this point. Because of your lack of parental guidance, you may notice yourself daydreaming a lot and looking for outside guidance. You may be a loner and try to be by yourself to escape your abusive family. This causes you to have a hard time forming relationships, and you then develop poor communication skills. Being the lost child means you are not perceived as a threat like the scapegoat, and you are not a good enough supply like the golden child. You are still subjected to emotional abuse and neglect, but it's at a completely different degree than your other siblings. Now you can see why the family dynamic would be so broken. On top of all of this, you may notice that your narcissistic parent tries to pin you guys up against each other and tries to make like the scapegoat the one that you gang up on. The more there is a wedge between you guys, the less likely you guys will come together and really truly see what's going on. It creates this dynamic where you guys are against each other, all while trying to gain the loyalty of each child. They want to prevent you guys teaming up against your narcissist as much as possible. Your narcissistic parent will do this by spreading lies, spreading rumors, invading boundaries, or having all of your siblings gang up against the scapegoat. So if you're ever wondering why your family dynamic is so different than other people's, or why maybe you can't get along with your siblings, it's because your family was manipulated to have the dynamic that your abusive, toxic parent wanted you guys to have. You didn't get to have a genuine connection with your siblings. That was taken away. And I want you to know, if you are the scapegoat, or if you feel like your family is negative and they all think that they're all wonderful, you're not crazy. You're not alone. That's very common, to feel like there's something wrong with your parent and your other siblings may not see it. I've seen that a lot in narcissistic homes, where the scapegoat will say, all my siblings say that my parents are great, and like it starts to make me feel like I'm crazy, because you were always led to believe that you're crazy. You're not crazy. So the scapegoat is the one that gets blamed for everything. They're the one that feels like the outcast, the one that sees things for the way they are and has more of a mind of their own. The golden child is the one that most likely follows in the narcissistic parent's footsteps. They are the one that does not have a mind of their own, because it was taken away from them. And they are the ones that feels like they have to be on the pedestal that the narcissistic parent forces them to be on. And the lost child is the one that gets neglected and kind of is always in the background and has absolutely no guidance. Going through any of these three types of abuse can be really detrimental on a child, and the effects of it are different based on the type of abuse that you endured. What do you guys think? Can you relate to any of the three terms we talked about? Leave any comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and don't hesitate to share if you feel like this could really help someone. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye guys. You can't tell. I got my grandma sweater on. I'm rocking a more natural hair look today. I'm rocking my more So the scapegoat is the one that gets. What? Why can't I say it? Damn it.